Hello everyone. In this video I will talk about cells. First we'll see how to insert or delete cells in a worksheet. Then we will talk about the different sheets in a workbook, how to rename them, how to organize them, copy or move them, etc. Now let's start with inserting cells. In order to insert a cell, you first select the cell where you want the new cell to appear. Then from the Home tab, click on Insert button from Cells group of buttons. Then click on Insert Cells option. This opens the Insert dialog box, and now you can either choose to shift the cells towards right or shift the cells down. This means that when the new cell will appear here, you need to shift rest of the data towards right or down. So depending upon your requirement, you can choose either of the options. Let's first see when we shift the cells towards right, what happens. The new cell appears at the position and the data is shifted towards right. You can always cancel the command by selecting the undo option or the Ctrl Z keys. Now let's try this insertion of cells again, and this time I will be right clicking on the position and then I will select the insert option, and this time I will select the shift cells down option. So you can clearly see that the cells are shifted downwards and we have the new cell at the position we wanted. You can again undo the changes by pressing Ctrl and Z keys from the keyboard. There is another way of inserting a new cell, and for this you press the Ctrl, Shift and equals to key from the keyboard. In fact, the equals to key has the plus symbol which can be pressed using the shift only. So it is indirectly Ctrl and plus. Now again you can choose any of the available options to shift the cells around it and then click on OK. So this is how we insert a cell. Now let me again cancel the changes. Now we will see how to delete a cell. In order to delete a cell, you first select it by clicking on the cell, and then you can again go to the cells group of buttons and click on down arrow for delete button. Now click on delete cells. This opens the delete dialog box from where you can choose to shift the cells. That means when you delete this cell, the cells around it are going to take its position. So now let's first try shift cells left. Click on OK, and you can see instead of mouse we have the keyboard appearing here, and subsequently the other cells are also shifted towards left. Now press Ctrl and Z to cancel the changes. The same delete operation can be performed by pressing the Ctrl and minus key from the keyboard. This opens the delete dialog box again, and now you can choose shift cells up option, and this will again delete the current cell and will shift the cells upwards. Again cancel the changes, and this time there is another way, that is right clicking on the cell to be deleted and then selecting the delete option. This again opens the delete dialog box and you can do the things that we have done earlier. Let's cancel this, and now we will talk about the sheets. First, let's talk about adding worksheets in a workbook. By default, you have 3 worksheets in a workbook, which you can always delete, rename or change the appearance of. For now, let's try inserting a new sheet, and for this we'll click on the Insert Worksheet button. When you click on the button, you have a new sheet appearing whose name is in the sequence of Sheet 1, Sheet 2, Sheet 3 and so on. This always depends on the existing sheets. You can also press the Shift and F11 function key in order to insert a new worksheet, and like this you can keep on adding several sheets in a workbook. As you must have noticed here, when you click on the button to insert the worksheet, the worksheet is inserted at the right of the existing worksheets. But when you press the Shift and F11 function key, the new sheet is added at the left of the active sheet. Now let's see how do we delete a sheet. In order to delete a sheet, you can simply right click on the sheet and then select the delete option. In this case, since there was no data in the worksheet, there was no warning. But in case you try to delete a sheet which has some data, it is going to warn you by telling you that data which exists in the worksheet will also be deleted, and this is a permanent change which you cannot revert. So you can always cancel the command by clicking on cancel button. Now let's see how do we navigate from one sheet to another. In order to switch the worksheets, you have different buttons which help you make the different sheets visible. For example, in this case, since we have very few sheets, let's try inserting some more. Let me move the slider towards left so that we have some of the sheets hidden. Now, if you want to have the last sheet visible, you can simply click on the rightmost button and you can see you have the rightmost sheet visible. Similarly, you can click on the leftmost button to have the first sheet visible, and similarly you can choose to make one sheet visible at one click. You can also choose to press the Control and Page Up and Page Down buttons in order to navigate from one worksheet to another. So as you can see, I am shifting from one sheet to another using the Control and Page Up button. If I have to select the sheets at left of the active one, and if I have to select the sheets which are at right of the active one, I will be pressing Control and Page Down buttons. Now let's see how do we rename a worksheet. In Microsoft Office, most of the options are available with a single right click. As you can see from here, you have the options to insert, delete, rename, move or copy, and several other options which you can use depending upon your requirement. In order to rename, we click on Rename option. This highlights the existing name and you can delete it and type a new name. Suppose I name it as 1. Now press enter to accept the changes. Similarly, you can double click on a sheet name to highlight it and do the same thing to rename it to a new name. You must remember that the worksheet name can be maximum up to 31 characters length, and this includes the spaces as well as the characters you type. Now let's see how can we color a tab. For example, as you can see, the first sheet, that is my data, has a colored background. Whenever it is inactive, it has a background color, and when I select it to make it active, it has some shaded area appearing here. Similarly, you can have a different color for each sheet that you want. For example, let's decide a color for the sheet named as 1. So right click on the sheet and then select tab color option and then choose the color of your choice. For example, the red color. Since this sheet is active right now, so it has a smaller portion of the tab shaded. Now when we switch to the next sheet, you can see the full red background color here. Now let's try to delete multiple sheets at once. For this, I will select the first one by clicking on it and then press and hold the Control key and then select all the sheets that I want to delete. Once I have selected the sheets, I can right click on any one of the selected ones and choose the delete option. And as you can see, I have deleted all the sheets that I had selected. Similarly, you can have multiple sheets selected together in order to apply the action to multiple sheets at once. Now let's see how do we move or copy a worksheet. We will choose My Data sheet because it has some data and we will try to make a copy of it. For this, right click on the sheet. Now choose Move or Copy option. This opens the Move or Copy dialog box, and using the same dialog box you can choose to move or copy the worksheets. Now from the drop down arrow here, you can choose the workbook to which you want to copy. In this case, I'm going to copy the worksheet in this workbook only But in case you want to create a new workbook, you can always choose the new book option. In case you have multiple workbooks open, you can choose the names of those workbooks if they appear here. For now, we will go with this workbook only. So we will just have it selected. In the second box, you can see the position of the sheet when it will be copied or moved. So if you want it to appear before the first sheet, you can have the first sheet selected, or you can choose the name of the worksheets before which you want this copied or moved sheet to appear. In this case, I am going to move the copied sheet to the end. So I have selected this option. Now, if you want to move, that is, remove the sheet from its position and place it at the new position, you can simply click on OK. And as you can see, it has moved from the first position to the end. But in case you want it to be copied, you can simply follow the same procedure and then select the sheet before which you want it to be copied and then click on the checkbox for Create a Copy option. Now click on OK and you can see the new sheet appears before the sheet named 1, and this has the name similar to the one which we copied. But since there cannot be more than one sheet with same name, it has been renamed automatically. Now I will rename it to My Data Copy. Press Enter key to accept the changes and your worksheet has been renamed. Thank you for watching.